Yesterday I received an interesting email from someone who just passed the phone screening rounds and was invited for an on-site with AWS for a senior sales role. And between compliments and other stuff, she also highlighted correctly that there's very little content on my channel that is specifically targeted to sales positions. So in this video I'm going to give some hopefully interesting advice when it comes to sales positions in some tips and tricks. And the first thing that I wanted to talk about here is while answering behavioral questions, the number one piece of advice that I have for sales roles is that more often than not you can cut your answers into half. So use this as a rule when tuning up your answers. Try to see whether you could spend only half of the time you're already spending to answer these. Now, when it comes to timing, these should be no more than 1 minute, especially for senior roles. Next, what's the best method to prepare to make a good impression during the on-site interview? There's no magic formula for this. This can be achieved through role play. So the more role play can you do, the better it will be for you during the on-site interview. And of course, this is assuming that you have your answers prepared, because I'm assuming you already prepared the text, the written ones for the phone screening rounds. Next thing here I wanted to talk about is how do you predict the types of questions that you'll be asked during the interview. And I'm talking about on whether your interview will be more technical, gears toward more technical questions or purely sales question. And a good rule here would be to take a look at your CV and think about it. What are your strengths from your CV and what are your weaknesses for your CV when compared to the actual job description. So if you're someone who worked for 10 years in sales, but you're applying for a sales position with AWS, more likely than not, they will ask you a ton of questions to ensure that you understand some basic concepts about how AWS works and possibly also about its competitors. And also, when talking about competitors, one note that you should take into account here is that you should try to focus to speaking about your achievements and about Amazon and how can you make the difference at Amazon, instead of highlighting how you can make the difference for Amazon when compared to others, when compared to their competition, right? And the main reason why I'm saying this is because Amazon specifically looks for applicants during their interview to be customer obsessed, not competition obsessed. So just consider this as well. Now, what are some of the most commonly asked questions and what are the most difficult questions that you're likely going to be asked during the Amazon interview, both during the phone and the on-site interview? Well, I'm not sure whether if it's we can talk about the most difficult or the simplest ones, but the most common ones would be the first, why Amazon? And a quick tip here would be the best template that I know to answer this question is I want to work at Amazon for 3 reasons, and then you emphasize the 3 most relevant reasons. Of course, one would be Amazon, one would be your technical experience, but also you should mention what's in for you from this experience. Then the second most commonly asked question during any Amazon interview is about failure. So of course, when talking about failure, don't sugarcoat it and try to keep it in the star format. And also maybe another tip here would be to present the situation and task in 1 sentence, then go with 2 sentences for the action and 3 sentences for the results. So, all right, now, what other questions could you get asked during the interview? Well, generally questions about working in a team and dealing with conflict, also dealing with difficult customers. Also, if you're applying for a position in which data makes a lot of sense, you could expect questions related to data, such as tell me about the time when you used data to develop a strategy. And I have another video with the 35 most commonly asked questions during any Amazon interview, so I would definitely recommend you to take a look over these. And I have also other videos in which I answer all of them, so if you want to know more details. Now, some other piece of advice here when it comes to your presentation style. Amazon is looking for people that have energy, that transmit positive energy during the interview and are genuinely curious. So ensure that while role-playing those answers, you transmit these things. Also, a good idea would be to also include some keywords, some buzzwords, sorry, that are specific to your role, because those always, tend to increase the energy and the positivity that you give in your example. Now, probably also a good idea would be to prepare some questions for them. Two of the more commonly asked questions would be, tell me more about what's challenging about this role, what's the most challenging part for this role. And the second one would be, what's some good piece of advice you have for newcomers, for example. And last but not least, if you're willing to invest more time into consuming YouTube content that I create, I also have another video in which I explain how Amazon evaluates each answers for each of the 14 leadership principles, and I explained this for 1 hour, so it's pretty comprehensive. So what do you think? Is this video useful? Maybe let me know what other types of content would be useful for you to prepare for the Amazon interview. And as always, I hope you found this information useful, and thank you very much for watching.